Welcome back to the channel, everyone. CryptoTakeOver here, coming back with another Bitcoin cryptocurrency video for you today. We're taking a look because the PayPal CEO just said cryptocurrency is the real deal and super apps are coming. So we're going to take a look at this article here by Time Magazine, see what's going on with PayPal and the CEO, and then also we're going to jump on over into the charts here in a second. So stick around and let's go ahead and cue that intro. First off, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Check the links in the description box below if you want to help support the channel too. And yeah, don't forget that we have our private trading group page too if you're interested in learning about some of our alts that we're dollar cost averaging into. As the Bitcoin price kind of settles off right now, we're still hovering right at about $50,000. We've been finding support on our daily 100 EMA. So we'll jump on over into the charts after we finish up this article here. So let's see what's going on with the PayPal CEO saying that the super apps are coming. Missed this week's leadership brief. The interview below was delivered in an inbox. Okay, like many CEOs on the West Coast, Dan Schulman has a sort of uniform, blue jeans, black sweater, blah, blah, blah. When it comes to time to purchase, Boots CEO used this company new service to make the purchase. With a few clicks in a few seconds, he bought the boots. Okay, interesting. The fintech giant has a record year as the pandemic drove shoppers from the stores. Instead, they bought groceries, movies, and underwear on their phones and computers. PayPal does business in more than 200 countries and deals in more than 100 countries. It did a staggering amount of business last year, processing transactions at a rate of 1,000 per second during the peak holiday shopping season. In total, PayPal processed 15.4 billion in payments with a value of 936 billion last year. PayPal also had the most new product launches in its history, including the launching QR code payments in the 20 markets around the world in response to the demand of germ-free transactions. Another big initiative helping move digital currency to mainstream by adding cryptocurrency services. Schulman recently joined Time for a conversion of the future in cash, central banks, and securities of digital currencies. Yes, sir. The QR code is the cure. So, yeah, exactly. That's exactly what we're looking at here is, PayPal jumping on board with cryptocurrencies. We do know the QR code is the wave of the future. So get ready, folks. I mean, I don't know what more to say than to say that this is definitely going to be the next mainstream thing. How much did fear of injection occur during the pandemic, driving last year's change and how people shop and pay for things? There were two things that dramatically accelerated the trend of digital payments by as little as 3 years and maybe as much as 5 years. And by the way, that's just continuing to grow at an accelerating rate. That first is we had no choice. We were all quarantined in our home. We needed to live. We needed to buy things, and everybody had to buy things online. Eventually, that turned to a necessity, to convenience. People realized we don't have to wait in a line at a cashier. It can be delivered whenever you want. You have more choice, more different goals, or more different deals. Number two is everything started to go digital in store because of hygiene. People wanted to be sure that they could protect their cashiers, and customers wanted to be sure that they were going to be safe. Nobody wanted to touch cash, and that led to a large increase in the use of digital forms to not just pay, but to look at the menus and to look at offers and that kind of thing in the stores. Yeah, folks, so there's just a lot of hearsay, theresay. We've seen this coming down the pipeline for a long time, whether it was some type of pandemic or something that was going to happen to now be switching over to a new digital system for currency. But lo and behold, the pandemic was the thing that is now making the switch for us. And this just kind of tells me that anything that FUD-wise that's out there, you kind of just have to ignore it for the meantime. Obviously, the markets are going to take breathers here and there. Nothing goes straight up, and you just kind of have to kind of play along with the games that they're playing, especially when it comes to FUD. But overall, this is the transitional phase just because of what's happening in the world right now. What does the business look like after the next 5 years or 10 years? First of all, retail fundamental changes. It moves from a strategy of how do I attract people to my storefront to basically how do I optimize for home delivery. How do I optimize around all other digital, online, offline? Effectively, the differentiation between those two things disappear, and that means that retailers need to think about where do they meet customers. Customers aren't just going to go to their website. They're going to be large consumer platforms like TikTok, other PayPal or others, the reason Walmart wanted to buy part of TikTok is they wanted to kind of put of shopping in the platform we call the contextual commerce. So interesting. I didn't know that Walmart wanted to start implementing sales on TikTok. Very cool. It's the same thing. Same thing inside PayPal. We know that people will start to utilize wish list shopping tools, and wish lists are really a form of creating an individualized demand curve. This is what you want. This is the price point that you want it. Retailer, it can be given at me at that. I'll buy it. And so retailers are coming to where we're looking individually personalizing offers to you. Retail is going to shift dramatically. Yep. And we're already starting to see that too as well. And how are we going to pay for things? There are probably going to be 5 to 6, 10 super apps that involve. You won't have 50 apps on your phone because you can't remember 50 usernames and passwords. You don't want to put in your financial information into every single one of them. You can't remember the new system on all of them. These super apps that will basically intermediate other apps so you log in once, you have a common password, you have all the data and information in that place, and that you can be used to feed products and services on the platform. It will make it simpler and easier for the consumer. And so I think PayPal is obviously probably aiming to be one of those super apps too. We know that Venmo now has added cryptocurrencies too as well. So Venmo possibly being one of those super apps. Cash App has already basically added Bitcoin to their payments as well. So possibly Cash App wanting to be one of those. So that's 3 apps right there. He's saying that there's going to be a total of 5 super apps. Coinbase is a possibility too. The Coinbase app has come a long way for the most part as well too. And I'm trying to think of some other apps that we tend to use too. BlockFi, I have a link in the description down below for BlockFi, but that's mainly just earning interest on crypto, not really using as payments. The Crypto.com app, that's a good one too. The Crypto.com app with the CRO token, that's another one that I think some of my subscribers use too as well. So cash is no longer king. 10 years from now, you will see a tremendous decline in the use of cash. All forms, factors of payments will collapse into the mobile phone. Credit cards as a form of factor will go away, and you will use your phone because a phone can add much more value than just tapping your credit card. And so when all those things start happening, the central banks need to rethink monetary policy as well, because you can't just issue more paper money into the system because people aren't using paper money. And so this is the advent of digital currencies. And then iPhone obviously has the iPay, or the Apple Pay on there too as well, where you just hold your phone up to the little kiosk, and then it scans the money on there. You can attach your cards to it or whatever. What does this pending shift to digital currencies mean for the financial system? In the next 5 to 10 years, you're going to see more change in the financial system than you have ever in the past 10 to 20 years. How do we think about modernizing the existing financial infrastructure? It needs modernization because it's inefficient today. If you cash a check, it can take 3 days for you to get your money. If you do an international remittance, it can take 7 days to get your money, and it's too expensive. The take rate across financial systems throughout the world is about 2.8% for the last 10 years, which by the way you'd expect the volume of technologies improvements that would drop. But the worst part about the 2.8% is that if you have less income or are outside the system, you are not affluent, then to take a rate is like 1,000 base points. It's not 280 basis points. If you're really affluent, you take a rate at 25 basis points. And so when you think about it being expensive, evolutionary, or exclusivity and efficiency, we really need to think about how do we modernize that system. Is there a way you can do things more efficiently with the cost more inclusively and more utility into the system? Yeah, and so high transaction rates obviously are not fun at all. We've seen this also on Ethereum too as well, and Bitcoin. With our volume spiking in these 2 main cryptocurrencies, we're just starting to see a lot of the transactional rates go through the roof, and which is not fun at all. So some of our alts that we're actually looking into on our private trading group page, we talk about how they may be a little bit more efficient than the top 2 cryptocurrencies, such as Bitcoin and Ethereum. Possibly later in the future, Bitcoin and Ethereum are first generation blockchains. So I think that we're always going to see those improvements come to different blockchains with the second and third generation of cryptos being implemented into the system, and they're going to continue to start growing and becoming a little bit faster pace, less transactional costs, and that'll definitely be a nice move to another digital currency besides the high transactional rates and stuff. So demand on the crypto side has been multiple fold to what initially expected. There's a lot of excitement. Let's see, we don't have too much more here. Let's go ahead and finish it off. We're taking a deliberate approach to digital currency, investing heavily before introducing a consumer product. Why now? We've been looking into digital forms of currencies and DLT for the 6 years or so, but I also thought it was early, and I thought the cryptocurrencies at the time were much more of an asset than they were a currency. They were too volatile to be a viable currency, and it was still a little bit too much of people not really understanding what they were going to get into. And what we really wanted to do is make sure it became a little more mainstream so that we could work hand in hand with regulators before putting anything out into the market. What's the demand been like for these new services? Demand on the crypto side has been multiple fold to what we initially expected. There's a lot of excitement. How do we define against more and more sophisticated cybercrime as an asset moves into digital? We need to battle. Cyber in two ways. One, you have to create a world moats and high towers and turrets to try and keep as many bad people out as possible. But it's impossible to keep bad people out because usernames and passwords are stolen. So the real trick of this is how do you keep data from moving outside? So if you make a transaction using PayPal, it's not your username or password that's given you permission to do that. It's 130 different variables that we look at every single transaction in milliseconds to be sure that it's you. It's this idea of big data is really understanding who you are, who you said you are. Two things of factors, authentication, the grade school stuff. If you need to be much more sophisticated than that, we spent as much as we need to spend, ensure that we do our very best to allow data to leave our system and that isn't valid. And we say this for every company around the world. This is an issue that we should be front and center. When did you decide to decide on your look? Okay. Yeah, so obviously, the PayPal CEO is looking at this heavily and deeply as of right now, and it looks like they're going to be trying to find the best possibilities to make sure that their payments stay safe inside of the PayPal app as well too. So let me know if y'all have already used PayPal as a payment processor when it comes to crypto, or some of these super apps such as Venmo or Cash App or anything like that too, or the crypto.com app. Let me know if y'all are using those as payment processors. And without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on over into the charts and get started over there. All right, folks, so thanks for sticking around until the charts, so now we're looking at the daily chart here with Bitcoin. Right now, Bitcoin's still hovering at about the $50,000 area, 50,200. So seeing a nice little recovery here as of right now. But looking at the daily chart here, folks, this is what I really wanted to take a look at when it came to the Bitcoin charts. The daily chart was holding support above the 100 EMA as of right now. We haven't gotten a close below it. Let's just reference here. Last time we did get a test all the way down to the 100 EMA. This is our $20,000 mark, which is our blue line there. Before we started our big bull run, we had our EMAs touching pretty closely together. We never had a death cross though. I think our only death cross was after the Corona dump. So we've been pretty safe here for the most part of not experiencing a death cross with the 21 and the 100 EMA on the daily. But we did come back down to retest the 100 EMA. So now what we're wanting to see here is possibly a nice sideways move, break through this trend line here for us too as well, and then kind of get an idea from there. Market Cipher B on the daily chart here, folks. It does look like we are getting ready to put in a green dot. VWAP's kind of moving to the upside. Money flow is looking relatively thin here on volume, so we need to make sure that we can get a nice recovery here and start to see that money wave, the money flow wave, start to move back to the upside. One thing that I did want to take note here, folks, obviously, if y'all are interested in picking up Market Cipher, I have a 5% off discount code there available for you if you want to pick it up. But we were looking at the higher time frames, and I started to see our 4-day chart also give us a little bit of a sell signal here with Market God. So we're going to need to make sure that we just stay relatively, let's go back here. we're going to need to make sure that we stay relatively safe here because this sell signal on the 4-day chart could definitely give us a little bit more of a downside. Already on market Cipher, we're seeing our momentum wave on our 4-day chart still trying to trickle off here just a tad bit. And if this is remaining a little bit cautious, we're going to keep a close eye on our weekly chart and the 21 EMA. The 21 EMA on our weekly chart is still showing that we do have our 21 EMA that could be acting as support relatively soon for us. The 21 EMA on the weekly chart is sitting at about $43,000. So if we are to see another dip below, I would say if we get a dip below our 100 EMA on our daily chart, we're going to be keeping a close eye on the $43,000 mark, which is our 21 weekly moving average. Okay, so let's keep a close eye on the daily chart, see if we break below that. We're going to be looking for support at the 21 EMA on the weekly chart. But as of right now, it still looks like we are seeing a little bit of recovery. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of zoom in here, take a look at our 12-hour chart, see if we've already gotten our big green dot down here. We're starting to see some doji candles start to form for us on our candlestick patterns too as well. Big green dot on market Cipher B, looking like it's kind of ready to move to the upside. Money flow volume is still looking relatively thin here too as well. So we're just going to rely on our momentum waves to give us a clear direction. Let's see about our 6 hours, see what's happening here on our 6-hour chart, folks. 6-hour chart still has a nice momentum wave that's still headed to the upside here with market Cipher. So momentum waves are still headed to the upside. We are sitting in a red money flow as of right now. So still a little bit of sell pressure happening for us right now. We just have to remain patient here, see what kind of sideways action we get. If we get some sideways action, we're going to be looking to break through this resistance yellow trend line here. If we get a rejection, folks, we're probably going to end up retesting that weekly 21 EMA. So that's what we just need to remain relatively cautious for. Let's see if we can get a break above this resistance trend line that has been holding us down ever since our last recent dump here, right at about $60,000. If we can break through this, we may be in safe waters, but if we do get a rejection here, then we're going to be looking for that lower $40,000 area. So what could possibly happen here is we put in some type of inverse head and shoulders. So we could be looking for one more leg down. This would be our left shoulder, our head, and then if we find another rejection, we could be putting in a right shoulder down here. So just a heads up on that if that is to occur. As we know, our money flow is in the red right now, so that does relatively mean that there is some sell pressure. Taking a look at our 2-hour chart here, 2-hour chart, it looks okay for the most part. You can kind of see here that on market Cipher, what we've been looking at is market Cipher giving us these nice little stair-step patterns further to the upside. What we need to do is see a nice clean break above our 0 pivot point here on market Cipher, and that would definitely indicate that we're back in our bullish territory. Money flow is still kind of in the red though. We just need to remain a little cautious here, maybe remain and have some patience here, wait for the breakout trade to occur, and then boom, back to the upside we go. So let's see if we can get above this resistance trend line for us, and then if we get above that resistance trend line, we're definitely going to be looking for a move a little bit higher. I do want to see if we've started to recover on any of our lower time frames here, moving into a green money flow at all. As of our 45-minute and our hourly chart, it does look like our money flow is starting to move back into that greenish territory on market Cipher. So taking a look at market Cipher here on the hourly chart, we are starting to clip back into that greenish money flow there. So definitely looking and just trying to remain patient as of right now. It does look like our markets are starting to recover just a tad bit. But what I'd want to see is maybe a little bit more of a stair-step pattern to get us back up to the 0 pivot point on some of these mid time frames, and then start to make our way blasting through and pushing through this resistance trend line here. So folks, I hope that was helpful for you too as well. Like I said, if y'all want to check out the description box below, we have market Cipher, a link there for you, and there's a 5% discount code. So shout out to CryptoFace. CryptoFace has been a big supporter of this channel too as well. We are one of the top resellers for market Cipher and for CryptoFace. So shout out to him, and if y'all want to check out his channel, y'all can check out some of the links in the description box below. But with that being said, folks, we're going to go ahead and end it here. So like I said, I think that we're just waiting for our resistance trend line to break. If we do get a rejection here at this resistance trend line, we're probably going to be pushing down into that $40,000 area, but we'll see whether or not this is going to end up breaking to the upside or not. So remaining patient, just staying calm. Obviously, we all know that this is a great time to continue to dollar cost average into as well. And obviously, if you want to learn about some of those alts that we're getting into, you can join us on our private trading group page. We use Patreon as a payment processor, so you want to make sure that you have Discord, because everything that we post for our private trading group members is located on Discord. And if you want to pay with crypto, just message me in Discord and I'll get you all set up. So with that being said, folks, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next one. CTO signing out. Peace.